The bridge that needs to be built, the real bridge that needs to be built, is the bridge from God-fearing people, which is what religion tried to make us, and which they have succeeded in making people, God-fearing people to God-thinking people. God-fearing people to God-thinking people. Religion tried to get us to be afraid of what it is that we don't know. We, by nature, are afraid of things we don't know or understand. Thus, they created or were able to produce God-fearing people because we didn't know who God was. A lot of our people still don't know what God is, so they have to fill in the blank. Jesus, Muhammad, Yeshua, whatever. Like, they always have these abstract figures to fill in the blanks of God so that they can understand God through men. And that's fine. However, what do you do when you don't even know these men? What do you do when these men are fictitious? Jesus Christ, or abstract, or, just so far back in history that you don't have no real connection with these people. What do? You live in their shadows. You try to form some connection with these people even though you don't even know if these people existed or not. They become mythological characters. They become no different than Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny. People that you've heard about in legends, legendary tales, but don't know if for certain they were real or not. Right? Real people who have made a difference in your life. Not just a bunch of people who are all spooked the hell out, who are all in fear of something they don't understand. People will give you 50,000 different interpretations of what God is, right? And the church purposely keeps them afraid of asking the real questions, the real concrete questions, the logical questions. See, because the more we start asking logical questions of the religious theologians, the so-called religious authorities, or the so-called people who utter the word God out of their mouth, the more we start asking questions about who and what that is, the less fear we have in us. We come from under the stage of submission, in tune with God, or in reception with God, in transmission. I said our people are supposed to be going through an evolution when it comes to God. God is real. God is real. God is real. I had to say it 3 times. God is real because we know that we are following behind the order of something else. We are following the blueprint of something else, something higher. All right? My assistant, Mr. Minjaz, said something profound to me. He said that, everything is the model of something else. So if we are a structured society, if we are a biological manifestation, while your human beings are a biological creation. I'll explain what I mean by that later. Those of you not familiar with my words about the almond beings and the human beings. If we are a biological manifestation in the image and after the likeness of God, and we are following a system or order here, then obviously we are mimicking a higher order, something that was set in place. Man does not think of anything on his own. Woman does not think of anything on her own. We are following behind someone. All right? That someone is God. I said before, we're not doing anything that God hasn't done. But they want to tell you that God does none of these things. So, therefore, they create a mystery or a question mark in your head about who and what God is. God is no longer real to you. So something that's not real to you becomes a mystery. Therefore, you become scared of it. God-fearing people. This is how they keep people off balance. See, we have to go from God-fearing people to God-thinking people. People who have the thoughts of God, who are receiving the thoughts of God in our mind. The only way we're going to be able to do that is to get rid of the fear, to come from up under submission, to lead the churches, to leave them and their spook gods behind, and understand God for who and what he really is. All right? That higher extension or that higher manifestation of us. The higher, we are the lesser extensions of God. All right? And why I say lesser is because we are constantly becoming greater, or at least we're supposed to be. Religion has slowed down our greatness. It has gave us God misinterpreted. Right? This is what religion has done for us. It disconnected us from who and what God really is. When I said God's name is Amen, and they say no, they hid God's true name. By hiding God's true name, they hide God's true identity as a man, as an omni-man, as a continuous or eternal man who begat humans, mortal beings. Amen, a continuous man, Amen, an eternal man, begat mortal men, men who were given life and who will eventually die. Right? However, because we don't understand this, you create a fear in the people. You create a fear in the people to keep control over them. Right? You show pictures of God, then you place images of the devil, and you keep people going back and forth. Right? You create a world in which they start to believe that they are making connection with God by doing the things you say, by following the rituals you say. Right? They believe that they're forming a connection with God when they're not. They're just constantly going in circles within your religion, within your rituals, within your special rituals or your spiritual practices. You will never begin to receive the intelligence of God and become a thinking God on your own until you sever those connections. I said that God moves on. God does move on. God does not recognize the name Allah. God does not recognize the name Yeshua, Jehovah, all these names you're calling out. God don't recognize that because God moved on. God has moved on. He don't recognize any of the names you call on. That's why you don't see anything happening in our lives. You know, the true people, as I always say, the true people who know the name of God are the ones who are possessing that power in their life. The true people that are coming together collectively in an order. These are the people that possess the power of God because they're willing to live that out. When I say God's true name is Amen, the powers that be, the elite, they know the name of God is Amen, and they living together, and they are willing to follow the orders of Amen. This is how they keep power and control over the world. They become God-thinking men, right? Whether you don't think so or not, they become God-thinking men, and they transformed you into God-fearing men. It was a time when it was the other way around, where they was in the caves hiding. They didn't know who God was, and you knew who God was, and they were God-fearing, and you were God-thinking, meaning that you were the receivers of God's intelligence. So you started to think like a God. You started to advance and evolve and build civilizations and societies because that's the people who follow God, the people who are building. God is a builder, a master builder, like the Masons say, because he is the architect of the universe. He's the architect of the solar system. That's the Masons got that right. It's not that I'm taking anything from them. If what they're saying is true about God, is the truth. God is an architect. He is a builder. He is a designer of the solar system. Him and others who helped him, that God race, that advanced race of beings, those man beings, those physical beings who once walked the earth and who exist in a boundless world and a boundless state or a boundless planet that has no solar systems, that is real. God exists in the world just like we exist on earth. He exists in the world, outside the universe, what the Egyptians referred to as Nibiru, and the people who came with him as Nitiru. We had all kinds of different names for them, but their true name was Amen. Amen, just like they begat human. That's the connection. Immortal beings gave life to mortal beings. Eternal beings who are not living or dead. They are eternal. They don't go back and forth between life and death. They continuously walk the line of the living. They just exist. How they say that Islam, they say Allah just is. They don't say he's living. They don't say he's dead. They say he is. He exists. Just as they exist. These people exist. They've always existed. There was never no time where God did not exist. That's the extent of what these people understand about God. Everything after that is based on fear and spookism. Right? But it's time for us to become intelligent enough to understand God logically, not through beliefs. Not through beliefs. We moving beyond the belief. We're supposed to know God logically, intelligently, because that is the gateway to his power and to us coming together collectively as one, as a society of people in the name of Amen. All right? We're going to discuss that in great detail tonight. I am the intellectual Nuben Menkarayzz, and this is State of Mental Radio, and tonight we're talking about transforming God-fearing men into God-thinking men, or God-fearing people into God-thinking people, not to, leave those sisters out, because you have to become God-thinking women too. Stop being God-fearing women. They promote that in you, and you say that with pride. I'm a God-fearing woman. Or I'm a God-fearing man. I fear God. Why do you fear God? Why? What reason do you fear God for? Who told you to fear God? You know? Your religious leaders told you to fear God, right? Fear the power of God. The only people who fear God are the people who have no understanding of God, how God works. You understand? Calling yourself God, right, is part of fighting a fear of God, right? However, if you're not connecting yourself with God by doing the works of God, you understand? Being that power or that lightning rod for God, then it don't matter. You can call yourself God all you want to. Nobody really believes you. You can beat on your chest all you want to. Nobody believes that you God, but you. Even the people who sitting around calling themselves God don't really believe that. You understand? They have to psych themselves up into believing that, because they don't understand that God works in a hierarchy. Just as you have a boss, you have soldiers, you have a crew, you have an army of people. There's someone head of the army. God is the head of the army. And we're supposed to be the extensions or the extended versions of God. Those who are in tune with God. We're supposed to be those extended versions. We're supposed to be these gods or this physical manifestation of God in this realm. So we are gods as well. Ye are gods on earth. Right? We are gods in this bound world, and he is God in the boundless world, meaning the unlimited world, the continuous world. So we exist, or we're supposed to exist, as people who are receiving intelligence from God to do God's will on earth. They know that God is real and that he walked the earth as a man and that he created a society for himself and his people who are on that level. And we're supposed to be constantly moving toward that level as extensions of God. We're supposed to be moving in that on that level, on that line that God has set out for us as extensions of God. We're not supposed to be up here making no prayers and giving some charity or banging our heads on the floor and doing all this madness. You understand? We're not supposed to be doing that. People who are in fear of God do that. People who pray and bang their head on the floor and go on trips and throw and all this ritual stuff, these are people who fear God. You understand? Because they think they're doing that. The reason they're doing these things is they feel like they're pleasing God. When truth be told, God don't give a damn about that. Obviously, he don't. How is that going to help God throwing rocks and praying and asking for stuff, begging, worshiping? You know the type of people who like that? The people who came up with that idea are men. Men who want to be worshipped as gods figured that God wanted to be worshipped the same way. When truth be told, God is dealing with people who are in tune with him, who are doing his will. That's the real God. The people that God can utilize, those are his people. Not people who are worshiping God. Because truth be told, you're not really worshiping God. You're in submission to man. You're not in transmission with God. The people who God can utilize are in transmission with him. The people that worship God are in submission to man and his practices and his rituals. That's how that works. You understand that? Our people are so far disconnected from God that we got to go through men like old prophets, so-called prophets. Now, I'm not saying God don't come through men, you understand, or send messages through men. I'm not saying that, because I've said all day, God sent messages through me. I acknowledge that to be true. But how you know the difference is that God sends future messages through men. That's how God works. God works by sending future messages. So if none of these men today who claim they're of God, right, claim they're of God, are bringing future messages, I'm not talking about what's going on inside. I'm talking about future prophecy, things, and new knowledge or new intelligence from God, new structure, then they're not of God. They're of God, but they're not from God. Because there's a difference. There's a difference of being men of God and men from God, or women from God. Men from God are the physical manifestations in physical form of God, who came out of the bloodline of God. And you got these people who are of the creation, right? That's when you hear the men talking about, I'm of God. You mean that you're of his creation, his creatures, one of his creatures, his lesser life forms. You understand that? That's the difference. You're one of the lesser life forms, right? You're just standing on the sidelines trying to get people to follow you and be in submission to you, because you're the little guy on the totem pole and you want to be God. You want to be heard. You want to be seen. No, the true people who are in tune with God are in transmission with God. They're receiving. That's why I said mentellect, that which I teach, comes from God. It is the reception of God. We teach the reception, or we acknowledge the reception of God, not no religions of men. I don't follow a religion. I follow a reception. Understand? Meaning a message. Meaning a frequency of messages that are leading our people into the future. That's what we should be following. Religion was supposed to get us set up to follow reception. Religion was supposed to show us how to congregate. And we congregate. But what do? We congregate for madness. We congregate for rituals and things like that, doing the same thing over and over again with no real altering in our lives. No change. If you truly have a connection with God, then you'll think like a God, and you'll start to do godly things. And you'll alter your life, and you'll be able to alter the lives of people. People will feel that energy coming off you. People will feel that. It'll be electrifying. They'll hear it in your words. You understand? You're not going to sound like nobody else. You understand? You're not going to sound like no one else. You're not going to teach nothing else. And then you'll have the lesser ones, the men of God, the creation, the creatures, the people on the sideline who will take bits and pieces of what you say, because that's what they do. They take bits and pieces of what you say to cause confusion. Right? Because the people of the creation, they are devils. Mankind, that's black, white, all living creation, all humans are devils. Why do I say all humans are devils? I say all humans are devils, all the people of God or of the creation are devils, because if you look at the word devil backwards, you see the word lived. Right? And the word lived denotes a creation, a group of beings that were created, that were given life, and that will receive death. And what is a creation? A creation is an artificial manifestation. It's an artificial making of something. When you create something, it's an artificial being. Or you create a person, that's creating an artificial being. That's why I said you have two types of people walking the earth. You have those who are natural manifestations of God, and you have those who are unnatural creations of God. Right? Your human race are unnatural creations of God. And your almond race are those people who came out of God. They are They are natural manifestations, meaning they came from his bloodline, directly from his bloodline. You got people who are the direct bloodline descendants of God walking the earth, who came out of God. You understand? Who came from God, not of God. You understand? You have them walking the earth today. Why I say that the human race, they're devils, because like I said, the word devil is lived backwards, and devil is always shown as being opposite that of God, right? Because what do humans do? What is it in human nature to do? To go against God, to do all kind of negativity, to go against God. That's what artificial things do. They go against natural things. God is a natural manifestation of power, living power. So what does, when you create an artificial artificial being, what is it going to do? It's going to go against the natural. Isn't that what mankind does? Does he not go against God? When you say, when God creates the races of people to be separate, what does artificial men do? They mix their seed. Go against the natural creation, the natural order. Right? All the so-called sin in the world, right, comes from mankind, does it not? Going against God's laws, right? That's real. Because that's what man does. That's what artificial beings do. They don't follow orders. People, because they're disconnected. And they look to cause confusion. They look to create God-fearing people. Because once you become a God-thinking person, that means that you start to make that connection with God again, the true and living God, Amen. They create these lesser gods for you to follow. They create lesser gods for you to follow so that you can follow these beings, right, and follow in confusion. So that you can stay God-fearing people, or people who after a while just say, oh, I don't give a damn, I don't believe in no God, I'm God, right? And then you start to believe or come under this illusion that you really are all-powerful when your power is disconnected. Your power is disconnected. You no longer acknowledge that there's something beyond you. You don't acknowledge that. You don't acknowledge that the whole point of you existing is to move in a straight line to get to or follow behind that being that is beyond you. Because it's like an infantry. It's like a company. The leaders are up front, leading the way, and you're supposed to be leading as a troop. What does the word God mean? From the word Gad, means troop, a group of people. It's not just God alone. God leads a troop or army of people. Those of us who are of the elect here on earth are part of that army. We're supposed to be part of that physical army of God on earth. You understand? The ones who are from God. We're supposed to be part of that physical army on earth. You understand that? You men and you women who are calling yourself gods and goddesses, the real ones, not you fake gods and goddesses, the ones who claim you are God, that you come from God, that you God, but you're doing the same thing as mankind is out here. You getting high, you smoking weed, you doing all other stuff out here, but you want to be God. You fake gods. No, real gods, men from God, women from God, are not doing what everybody else is doing. A lot of people don't want to stand up to that. You understand? You just want to wear the title, but you don't want to put in the work. You don't want to be or do the job or do the work to be God. You just want to wear the title. You understand? Because you fear being God. That's another way of being God-fearing. You want the title. You like the title. And the title's all big and flashy and shiny. God. I'm God. Or I'm a goddess. But you fear the responsibility. That's being God-fearing. You want the title of God, but you don't want to take on the responsibility of being God. That's God-fearing. You understand? But a God-thinking person wears it every day. They wear it. They live it. You understand? You know, they live it. They wear it all the time. And they are divorced from the mentality of the regular people. They're above the mentality of the regular people. So if you're indulging in the mentality of the regular people, then you're not God. You allowing yourself to come under submission to man. I was having a discussion with someone about that. I said, God, if you are truly of the chosen or of the elect, God sends people into your life for you to utilize, to help you, right, to get to where you got to go, to continue on. However, instead of you thanking God, Amen, the true and living God, instead of thanking God, you thank that person. That person didn't do anything for you. God did. God sent the person for you. Everything that comes into your life, whether it's good or bad, Amen controls that. You understand? God controls that. See, people forget that because to them it's spookism. Oh, he talking about religion, it's spookism, and all this. So there ain't no spookism with that. There's no spookism with that. People want to make it a man-to-man type of thing. And yeah, I said, man is God and the devil, but there are higher principalities at work. You understand? There are higher principalities at work. There is a hierarchy or a higher order that is being lived out. And this order here on earth is following that order. You understand? We are following someone else's order, someone else's blueprint. So somebody has already thought this out for us. This is not just happening. So when you see racism here, people want to blame mankind for racism, right? But they don't want to look at what we're doing or what we haven't done to go into bondage. People want to look at the effect and not the cause. You understand? Why did we go into bondage? Why are we in the condition we in? We don't want to look at that. We just want to look at what happened. You understand? And we want to turn around and blame mankind, you understand, for our condition. We don't want to look back at ourselves and say, what did I do to deserve this? You don't want to look and say, what can I do to get out of this? Did I disconnect myself from God? What was I doing? Was I around people I shouldn't have been around? You understand? Was I being useful to God? It ain't about being good or bad. It's about being useful to God. Because you got all these people. You got nice people, good people, positive people who go to church every day, get prayed up and do whatever you do, dance in the church and all that, and they die every day. Some of them die horrible deaths. Right? Is that of God? Were these people any different than the gangbangers that would stand on the street doing nothing? No, they wasn't. The ones who was being negative, no, they wasn't. They wasn't no different because neither one obviously served the purpose for God. They were not God-thinking people. They were God-fearing people because God-fearing people, as I said, they refused to accept the reception of God. Because once you accept the reception of God or the message of God, then that's going to transform you from a God-fearing person into a God-thinking person. That means that you got to change your life. You can't be the same way you were no more. And the majority of people don't want to change. I said God changes. You understand? God changes. God evolves. You understand? God moves on. If you move on, if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're not feeling that relationship anymore, whatever the case may be, you end up leaving it and you move on. So just like you move on, you don't think God moves on? You don't think God said, you know what, I was dealing with Islam for a minute and trying to raise my people, or I was dealing with Egyptology or whatever. I was dealing with these people 4,000, 5,000 ago, but I'm not dealing with them no more. I'm on to something else. Problem is, we don't know, or we're not in tune to know what that something else is until now. You understand? Until now. Within the state of mental, we know what this something else is. That's why our people, are not in tune with God and things are not changing in our lives because we trying to worship old gods. We trying to go where God already went. We trying to go back in Egypt. We trying to go back to Africa. We keep going. We going into Islam. We going into Christianity, Judaism, Israelitism, whatever. We going into all those old religions where God no longer is. He no longer is within those religions. Obviously, look at the people. See, because how you know God is no longer dealing with that is because you see so many people following it. People come with God. When God leaves a place, people come to it and they flock to it. They rather flock to the afterglow or the after energy of God than the direct line of God. What do I mean by that? What I mean is when God has already touched a certain religion or way of life and he's no longer focused on that anymore, the people flock to it based on the energy that's still left on it. When he's no longer dealing with those so-called prophets, whoever he was dealing with, they say he was dealing with, all that is no longer strong there. His essence is no longer strong there. He's left. You're going to have people flocking to it because of the after energy that was left, not knowing that God moved on to something else. He done moved on. He's putting his energy elsewhere because he is constantly evolving. That's why I told people, I said, when we talk about Amen, Ahmen, we're not talking about the same Amen, the same Amen from Egypt. People question me all the time on Facebook, talking about, oh, well, brother, why you spell it that way, Ahmen? I said, because God done evolved. He done evolved to us. He done evolved and revealed himself to us. The evolved state of God, he has revealed himself to us. But see, they can't accept that because they still chasing the dead God. They still chasing some God or some limited perception of what the Egyptians had, and they think we talking about that. I said, yeah, Amen came to the Egyptians, but he came to them where their mind frame and their mold and their mind frame could handle him at that time. He resonated to them based on their limited perception. That's why they painted the image of him with that crown on his head and all this other stuff, because that's how they saw God. Doesn't mean that that's how he really was, but he came that way for them, because God comes how you can accept him, how you can handle him. But God is no longer there. That's why you look over there and you see all those cities abandoned. The Muslims is over, the Arabs is over there, and all that. And our people keep coming back over there trying to resurrect that. And God moved on. They trying to sift God out of those ruins over there in Egypt. And God has moved on, obviously. All those dynasties done fell, but our people still talking, yeah, you got to read the Egyptian hieroglyphs and do the negative confessions. Our people get caught up in rituals. You understand? They fall under submission to man and his rituals, and they disconnect themselves from God because they became God-fearing people. They fear a direct connection with God, so they would rather submit to man. They would rather submit to his philosophies and religious beliefs. You understand? They'd rather submit to his Christianity, his Islam, his Judaism, his Egyptology, his Pan-Africanism, and all that stuff that has no power in it. Because all that stuff has been taught already. God done moved on. You understand? God is constantly moving on. God is constantly showing himself as becoming new and renewing himself. You understand? Amen is always coming forward. But our people are not in tune to receive Amen. They're not in tune to receive God. All they in tune to do is accept the submission of man and his beliefs and his rituals. You understand? Our people are not getting it. Our people can say they understand it, but you're not getting it because it's not altering your life. It's not changing your life. The first thing you should be doing as a person who is in tune with God, if you think you are becoming that person, then you should be coming amongst your people collectively. Because God does not move alone. This is the reason why our people get this idea that God, that we are individuals in the sight of God, and we're really not. Because God is not alone. God is not alone. Don't believe that nonsense that the Muslims say God is alone and has no partners. Really? Then what about the angels? Or the so-called messengers and the angels that you talk about? I thought God was alone. What about the let us make man in our image and after our likeness, plural? Obviously, God isn't alone. You understand? Obviously, he's not alone. That's your limited perception. You understand? Just like a king sits on a throne, he has subjects. He has people under him. So that means he's not alone. A king can't be a king without subjects. People who are subject to follow his words. How the hell is he going to be a king or a god if he don't have subjects or people that are with him or walking with him? God can't be alone. You understand? Even if he created people and he created these people, when he created those people, he's not alone. Right? So he has a race of people, and it tells you in your Genesis and all that, and it always shows you God coming with a group of people. A man coming with a group of men and women. You understand? But they left the women part out in the Bible for obvious reasons. They didn't want, women couldn't be angels or messengers of supreme beings. No. You cannot link with God just as an individual. The whole point of God turning you on mentally is so that you come together with the collective of people who are like you so that the frequency gets stronger. That's the whole point. That's why people congregate. You understand? That's why people come together and congregate under names and stuff like that, because they understand that the frequency has to get stronger and they have to come together as a collective. I don't care if you following devil worship. I don't care if you following religion. I don't care what you following. These people always come together as a group or a collective or a covenant or a congregation. You understand? Or a government. But see, black people don't get that. So don't give me this nonsense that you God if you don't understand the first thing about coming together collectively with your people. You understand? Don't tell me you coming in the image of gods and religions that have already passed. You understand? 1,400-year-old religions, 5,000-year-old religions. You don't think God done moved on by now? You think God still give a damn if you walking around with a robe on and a beard? You understand that? That's why, see, the white man gets it. That's why when he put Morgan Freeman in the suit, that represented God moving on into modern times. He put him in a white suit. He didn't put him in a white robe and all that other nonsense like y'all sitting up here thinking. He put God in a suit, a white suit, because that signified that God has moved on. You understand? He is dealing with us in modern day times. He's not dealing with no people or he's going to bring back how things used to be. God don't work that way. God moves on. God moves forward. God is an evolutionary, not a revolutionary man. God don't work in circles. Man runs in circles. You understand? God has been constantly trying to reach out to our people mentally. You understand? He has tried to create or speed up our thinking. He has been doing that since he hit the planet. When we were in Egypt, he sped up our thinking in order to even be able to build or conceive cities and governments and pyramids and all these things that you marvel at. That came from God. That didn't come from those people. He sent the thought to those people that they did the physical work, but that came from God. But see, people don't want to acknowledge that. They want to think they did it on their own. Well, let me tell you black men something. You think you did it on your own. You black men who calling yourself God and, ain't no God there. Then build it again. Build it again. If you don't think that came from a higher source, build it again. You should be able to go someplace, a rundown country or a rundown third world country, set up over there all you gods and all you goddesses, go over there and build it again. Get from up under the white man if you God and go over someplace else and build again. Since you don't think that came from God, that the pyramids and all that stuff and the government being set didn't come from God. Just like this government comes from God, you get up and go over there and go someplace else and build another government. Because if you're not doing that, you're talking crap. You understand that? You can't get up off your ass and go and build another government since you God, or build another whatever you gonna build, like you built the pyramids and all that. Then like I said, if you can't do that, then you're not God. You're not in tune with God. You understand? God's people congregate. God's true people congregate and build for real. Not sit around, build meaning talk. You understand? That's not talking like the 5%. No, they build things. You understand that? They don't run their mouth. They build things for real. They build governments. They build churches. They build structures. That's what they do. That's what the people of God do. Just as God is a builder, you understand, of the universe, the architect of the universe, as the Masons say, we're supposed to be building societies and governments as we once did. That's what God-thinking people do. We have to become those people again moving forward. You understand? We took the first step in the state of Mentel in building something like the state of Mentel with the reception of Mentellect. New intelligence coming from God, Amen, the true and living God. Not some new philosophy coming from me, because you know you got a lot of these lazy niggas who they want to say, oh, it's coming from that brother, it's his philosophy. That's all, so they can write it off just so they ain't got to do nothing, so they can just sit around and do nothing. Okay, since it's my philosophy, like I said with a lot of you guys, and y'all God and y'all got the right knowledge, then show me how to build. I'll follow you. If you God, you show me what you building. You understand that? But like I said, y'all God-fearing. That's the difference. You don't want God's power. You don't have God's power. You're just trying to wear the title. You don't want you don't want to do what it like a boxer. You just want you got like certain boxers. They just want the belt. They don't want to go through training and doing what it takes to get actually getting a physical fight to get that belt. They just want the belt. That's how you Negroes are who want to wear the title. I'm my own God. What have you done to be your own God? What are you doing to say that you are God? No, you're God-fearing men. You fear the connection with God, because then that means you got to change your life. You can't be the same nigga talking nonsense no more. I'm God. No, you're not. You can't be the same person saying that no more. So you're God-fearing. God-thinking people who have transformed, who have crossed over that, are people who are living out and doing the actions of God, structuring their people together, establishing law and order amongst their people. That's the sign of God in man. A God-thinking man, a God-thinking woman, a sister who's restoring order in her household and governing her life. You understand? And governing her life and trying to find and come together with people who are collectively governing their lives together to form a new society and a new movement. That's what God-thinking people do. They're always looking to congregate with those people who are of the same mind frame, the same way of thinking, the same soul, the same body of people who are collectively willing to cooperate with each other. That's what God-thinking people do, because that's how God works. That's how that hierarchy of the God race works. They work together collectively. They don't work as individuals. They're not at each other's throats like a bunch of niggas. You understand? They're not sitting around here talking about nonsense. You understand? God not sitting somewhere with a blunt in his mouth. You understand? Playing video games or working for some other man. That's not God. Or, like I said, even if you're going to work, you're not trying to get your way out of that some kind of way. You're not planning on doing things for yourself. You're supposed to be following that order, the order of God. However you think, like I said, when you looked at the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he was following the order of God. You understand? By building the nation. You understand? He was following the order of God, structuring how he structured the nation. Whether you say Fard Muhammad did or not, he was following orders too. They were just receiving messages from God to build up the black man. The message was that the black man was God, and to build up and structure a society or a movement or a nation to push that message. That's when God was dealing with them. You understand that? That was a new message in that day and time. God was dealing with them. Now God has moved on. You understand? God moves on. God evolves. God sends his attention elsewhere. You understand? When you can no longer go with a people or take a people to another level where people have just basically decided, look, okay, I'm good. I'm going to stay here in these rituals and things like that. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I don't want, I'm good with what I got. That becomes a God-fearing people because they no longer want the direct contact with God. They no longer want God's intelligence. Because when you receiving that direct contact from God, that's going to cause another change in your life, a new evolution. And the majority of people don't want that. They good with what they got. You know how the niggas go, I'm good. I'm good, son. I'm good. That's a God-fearing man. You understand? That's a God-fearing man. He okay with how things are. He's in submission to man. And you go, oh, son, I don't submit to nobody. Yeah, you do. You submit to that blunt. You submit to them Jordans. You submit to that Yankee hat. You submit to your girl. You submit to all these small things of society. So yes, you do submit. You understand? You submit to money. You understand? You submit to rap music. You submit to video games, all kind of nigga nonsense. You submit to strip clubs, E&J vodka. You understand? Whatever you black men, they submit to. You black women, you submit to perms, lace front wigs that's giving you forehead cancer. That's what you submit to. Getting your nails done, talking nonsense, that's what you submit to. You submit to man. You understand that? You submit to man. You don't transmit from God because you're God-fearing. The people who are God-thinking, they want and desire the transmission. They want to make themselves better. They don't like how things are. You niggas that sit up and talk, I'm good, son. God ain't dealing with you. You understand? You serve no purpose to God. That's why when you die, God, nobody don't care. You know, they might paint a mural on the wall to you and whatnot. Yo, son, Rick was a good dude, my dude. Really? What good did he serve? Nothing. You understand that? That's the people that we're talking about. God-thinking people. People who made themselves useful to God's intelligence. People who made themselves useful to God's intelligence. You understand that? Raw and uncut. You niggas don't serve no purpose. You just like roaches on the, but damn, the roaches even serve more purpose than you. At least they here to eat garbage. You understand? They serve more of a purpose than most of you niggas. We're going to say it just like it is. Ain't sugarcoating this. This ain't religion. This is reception. This ain't religion time no more. Religion is dead. Reception lives. The reception of God lives. You understand? The reception, the true reception of God lives. And those people who are in tune with it, you are becoming God-thinking people. You people that run away from it, you God-fearing people. Like I said, the majority of our people, like I said, they're not gonna flock to this message. You understand? When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I listened to certain things, right, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would be chastising the hell out of the people. And I said, there's power in chastisement. There's power in chastisement. Because when you chastise people, one or two things are going to happen. Either they're going to be like, you know, that they're going to be so damn ashamed of themselves, they're going to be like, you know what? I got to change, son. I can't live like this no more. This is what I needed to hear. They're going to say, I'm going to change my life. Really. You understand? I'm going to stop smoking. We're going to put the weed down. I'm going to put down the damn Xbox 360. I'm going to put down the E&J. I'm going to get my head out of my woman's tail. You understand? I'm going to start actually thinking about doing something more, serving, becoming a God-thinking man. You understand? And stop being a God-fearing man, meaning that you're fearing the responsibility as a man to receive the intelligence of God. That's what God-fearing men do. You black men who shirk your responsibilities because you're supposed to be the natural manifestations of God on earth, you not living out that intelligence of God on the planet, so you're God-fearing men. You're running away from your responsibility, that which you were put on earth to do. So you are God-fearing. You are submitting to men. You submit to the material world of man. You understand that? Because if you're not living to receive the intelligence of God and do above and beyond what you've been doing, then you're serving the purpose of man in the lower state, in the lower world. You under the beast. A lot of you black men and black women, y'all want to serve the beast, man. But you want to sit up here and act like you serving God in your church and your mosque and your synagogue. You ain't serving no God there, man. That's just a hospital for the people who are mentally sick, mentally ill, the people who are God-fearing. They say that in the church. Yeah, I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a God-fearing woman. You didn't even understand what that meant when you said you like a bunch of simple-minded people. I'm God-fearing. You understand? In other words, God was able to keep you in check by threatening to kill you, You understand? By threatening to destroy you or take everything away from you, that's the only thing that kept you afraid of God. You think that's what that means? And now, a lot of y'all, that's God could just kill me like it ain't nothing. In other words, the only way you respect God and obey God according to what you say is because by threats. You know, only dumb animals, you understand, and unruly people respond to threats. You understand? Because it's supposed to be in you naturally to do the right thing. You're supposed to be encoded to do the right thing, the logical thing in life. As a biological manifestation of God, if you are truly God's people. If you are a biological manifestation of God, then you're supposed to be doing His work. You're supposed to be here. You're supposed to know what your purpose is. You understand that? You're not supposed to be in submission to no man. Like I said, you black men, like I said, you want the $200 sneakers, you want the $20, $40 fitted, you want that. You in submission to man. Not in submission to God. You in submission to man. See, God don't work that way. You understand that? You live for this world. You are in fear of God. You are not God. God changes things in people's lives. God raises people up. Some of the last people who were in tune with God was the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Peace and blessings be upon him, and Dr. Malachi Z. York, because they changed the lives of people. These were God-thinking men. And myself, now I count myself amongst them as God-thinking men, because my message, this message that comes through me from the true and living God, Amen, is to raise the thinking and raise the intelligence of the people in the name of Amen, the true and living God, through His reception, not mine. Because if it was for me, I'd be like you niggas, in submission. Still talking about back how I was 15 to 20 years ago, to my a pair of Yankee fitted, you understand, and a pair of kicks, talking about a bunch of nigga nonsense. You understand? Even though I wasn't that simple-minded, I wasn't playing the Xbox 360 or smoking weed all day. No, I wasn't doing that, but I was in the pursuit of money. You understand? And I was fearing my responsibility because I always knew that I was supposed to be receiving the intelligence of God. I knew it, but I was a God-fearing man, meaning I feared receiving the intelligence of God because that meant responsibility. That meant I couldn't be the same way I was no more. That meant I had to alter my life. I couldn't do the same thing I was doing. And now that I'm embracing it, I see a lot of people moving away from me. I see a lot of people who I didn't do nothing to personally, but all of a sudden they're moving away from me. I'm not trying to come off as preachy or chat to them or nothing like. I'm just the same. To me, I'm just the same regular person I've always been. But they feel a difference. And I said, when you become a God-thinking person, people who are on a lower level, they're going to want to move away from you. You understand? Because they can't see you no more. They can't think on your level. And what they will always try to do is pull you down to their level. You understand? They want you to be on that sub-mental level. I'm going to take a call. 757. 757, you're on the air.
Yeah, peace, bro. Yeah, I just want to add on with you real quick. You know what I'm saying? Great topic, going out on them. You know what I'm saying? Hard. Yo, check it. I had two revelations for you. One was, just using the Bible as a reference. You know what I'm saying? When you go to the book of Daniel, he was using that mind, you know what I'm saying, by receiving epiphanies. And when you talk about fearing God, fearing and so forth, I remember reading, going in on Moses and what happened to him when he was feared. You know what I'm saying? He was using fear instead of going by the signal and the intelligence that God was giving him. And he told him, like, yo, okay, so you scared. All right, so you're going to die right here. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's going on with a lot of cats right now. They start dealing with the world. When Moses seen giant men, you know what I'm saying, he started going into the world, and the Creator said, yo, go. I told you to go over there, but you were scared, so you're going to die right here. And that's exactly what's going to happen to all these people around in America. They gonna stay right here because they choose not to follow the intelligence. Now, the last thing is that people don't have people scared to have a conversation like what you're having in general. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, as far as falling down to the mental, people never consult people on, all right, what you receiving from God. It's like the conversations don't increase, the conversations don't change, so you don't get people to start living in that advanced movement because they carry a fear to even have a conversation like this. You know what I'm saying? But so until people actually start changing and deleting a lot of the ways that the world is giving them, they can continue to perish. So, I just want to add that on there.
Well, you're right, brother, definitely, because a lot of those stories are definitely symbolic, but they of real accounts that done happen. Now, when this it's literally like our people gonna have to come out of the dark ages, because our people are in the dark ages. Black people are in the dark ages. You understand? Because if we still following Islam, if we still following Christianity, the Israelite thing, metaphysics, that's all stuff from the past, man. That's like being in the dark ages. That's where God is still a mystery and a spook. And I don't care, like I said, Elijah Muhammad tried to walk us out a little bit when they tried to give us the physical description of God as a man, though they had to turn around and make it Fard Muhammad, but that's another story, But at least he was saying the black man is God, so that put us in mind of looking at God as a physical man. So that tried to put us, tried to transform us gradually into God-thinking people instead of God-fearing people and fearing the mystery of it. So, it's like we're still in the damn dark ages, a lot of our people, and I'm trying to walk our people out gradually through intelligence that God is sending into the world right now. He's sending this intelligence. I feel it. Like I said, we have to be the lightning rods for that. We got to be the lightning rods because God is sending that in there right now.
Yeah, and having more conversation like this will, hopefully open people up that's listening. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't deal with the fear of dealing with God. You know what I'm saying? People, in public, it's like, why can't people just have why can't people walk in a coffee shop or when they go in the bookstore, why they can't have the conversation of, what you here for? You know what I'm saying? You never hear people out in the street addressing each other. See, until we grow up as adults and have that responsibility, like you're saying, and say, look, you know what I'm saying, we got to start addressing brothers and sisters, got to start addressing each other. Why are you here? Because as long as you don't, then the TV going to captivate them, and the sports going to captivate them. Like you said, the Yankee hat, because everybody want to go there and get something that the world giving, but they don't want to sit there and talk about, you know what I'm saying, what are you receiving right now? You know what I'm saying? It's like it's taboo. You know what I'm saying? So because the parents or whoever around them not doing it, you know what I'm saying? It's like a scapegoat to keep doing and repeating and to circle the same crap over and over again when you actually can receive because because he's sinning all the time. It's on you. You know what I'm saying? If you weak enough to sit there and say, nah, I don't want to deal with the Creator, then guess what? Boom. What's going to happen is you're going to get that judgment you was talking about. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to be responsible. But, hey, mute me out. Continue on, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because you already adding on the way it is. I'm just adding on my little part. You know what I mean? I don't want to take up too much time. You know that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you very much.
Peace.
Right. Peace. We got another call, 678. 678, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening, Nuben Menkarez. This is Doc Bosch. How art thou this evening?
How you doing, sister?
I'm fine. I have a question for you and anyone in your circle that may know which one of your prior broadcasts has the segment where you so deeply explained being mentally locked into time frames by calling yourself a Christian or this. You and I have listened to about 15 different broadcasts, made some notes, and on that one, which I intended to splice and put on my channel, I didn't write down the name of the show, and I just don't have time to go backwards because you got like 13 pages of broadcasts. So knowing that you can't possibly know or remember which broadcast it is, this was a segment which is not in any title, where you were deeply explaining to people that all is mental energy, and how you are is how you leave, and how you are when you leave is what you're locked into. So if you're calling yourself a Christian, you're locked into that, and you were explaining about time. So if you can touch on that here, I would appreciate it, because it's relative to what you're speaking. And if anyone in your circle knows which one of your prior broadcasts I can find that, because I want to put it on my channel, please, I'm in the chat room. Please just drop in the date of the show so I can find it, because I can't go backwards. I have too much of your other stuff to listen to. Okay?
I'll try. Best I can do for you right now is I can touch on it.
Okay.
I can touch on it, but for me to think, because like you said, I did so many broadcasts.
I know you can't, but some of your people will, because if they're studying it and absorbing it that long, it was about a good 15-minute segment, and it was so detailed and so clear. A lot of the people that are going to brush up against your energy and want to run away, they do not understand the mechanics of their own brain and their own mind, because it's not that they're afraid of you. They've never heard it before, and they don't understand that when new information is coming into the planet, it is not in your brain's database. Your mind field is not going to let it in unless you dance with it and think about it and talk about it. They don't know that.
That's true. That is true.
So I will listen, and maybe one of your people knows something. But I'm in the chat room, Doc Vaj. If you can't put it in the chat room, I have Blog Talk Channel. Just send me a message. I'd appreciate it, because I can't go backwards. You see how much stuff the brother has.
Well, Doc Vaj, try to ask me the question, and I'll answer it for you. Ask, because that's how I do it. People just ask me what it is you want to know and explain.
Okay, good.
All right,
explain to us how it works regarding where our mind is while we're here, and that we're locked into it when we leave. And if indeed we're trapped only in Christianity, that is a time frame, just like you were explaining that God moves on. So there will come a time when there will be no more Christianity, when there will be no more whatever. And if you're locked into that, you cannot raise up from that.
Okay. Well, it goes, like I said, people have times where these religions started, like your Christianity, like your Islam. They have time frames. They have beginnings, and anything that has a beginning has an ending. Christianity had a beginning. Islam had a beginning. The Israelites or Judaism or Egypt, all that, everything people study had a beginning, which means they're going to have a beginning. And when you lock yourself into these things and you calling yourself a Christian, a Muslim, an Israelite, all these things like that, you are going to end with these things. You're going to end with them because you become so mentally locked in strongly with these things that you become part of the ritual. You become part of the circle of events that take place in that, and you're locked in that time. So when that perishes, when those religions or those beliefs perish, you will perish with them. So I said the only thing that constantly keeps you moving is messages. That's why we refer to ourselves as mentalists, because we are constant receivers of Amun's intelligence. So being a constant receiver, that is beyond time or space and things like that. That's just continuous thought. You are a constant receiver, or one who is in reception to Amun or God's intelligence. That is not locked in time frames.
True, very true. Well, I salute you, because I know, the first time I went to your to your website and I read the part where you didn't want anyone over 42. That was before I had heard enough of your broadcast to understand where you're coming from. And I also hope that a lot of your people that are listening that haven't had the courage to move forward yet to understand, because I sent several people to that broadcast the other night where some girl was in the chat room, and to people that don't know your energy and your sincerity and your mission, the average people would think you were attacking her. And what I tell people, he's never attacking the person. He's refusing to accept the BS that you're presenting him as your story. And they don't know how to separate your attack of the story versus your attack of them. They don't know how to separate, because people just think they take everything personal. And what you're doing is not personal. It's about reality, and they're just not ready. But I salute you. It is a pleasure. As a person that has been in this work, that has not walked in all of that crap that you're talking about, but I have used all of the words, my job was different because I knew my contracts and stuff, and you are definitely presenting something that the world is ready for, but the select few, like you said, if 5 people are running the world, how many do you need to get this up and running?
I mean, like you said, you were definitely right about that. When I'm talking about, I'm attacking certain things. It's not the person, because I don't know you personally. I'm talking about your way of life, and unfortunately, people attach themselves to these way of lives here instead of finding out who it is that you really are. But aside from these, because that way of life, that's just, I know what you're talking about when the sister came and talking about how she was educated and this, that, and the third.
She walked right into it. She walked into that.
Yeah, that's the story of every so-called black woman who's been to college. They say the same thing. That's why I was like, here we go. They say the same thing. So you attach yourself to that same story. So I was attacking the story, not her personally. She has to understand who she is separate from the story. That's where the journey starts.
All right. Well, listen, I will listen. It's a pleasure to listen. And just so you folks know, I'm 66, and as a being of light, it doesn't matter what age the message is coming from, if it's coming from God. So as a wisdom instructor myself, I gladly sit and listen, absorb, and integrate, because I, too, am in this work. And although I've never met this brother before, the fact that he is in the city where I raised my son, and I know about, Fulton Street, and I know what the game used to look like there in Brooklyn, it is a pleasure. And the timeliness of me coming into your light is very important as we're closing out this 6,000-year world age for the Mayan calendar, 26,000-year water cycle, and 2012 is the most pivotal year in the history of Earthlings. So it is a pleasure to brush up against your energy, and I will continue to do exactly as I'm doing, listening and absorbing. It's a pleasure.
Thank you, sister.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I just want to say that when and I want to explain this to people who might be older listening, it's not that we were discriminating against people over 42 or 43 years old. It wasn't that. And by the way, we did move it up to 45. I just said to focus when I told my people to go out and, when we building up the mentorium and stuff like that in the name of Amen, I said go out to the ones 45 and under, because a lot of times the people, and I'm not saying it's everybody, a lot of times the people who are older or of a certain age, they tend not to want to listen because they have it set in their mind how things are instead of, ready to change. These are the God-fearing people, the people who are fearing the change or the intelligence of God coming through, which is going to alter their life, because they say to themselves, I've been living my life this way, I'm not changing, this, that, and the third. And that's the worst thing to do, and that's the worst way to be, because it's like if you can't change, it's like pretty much like rigor mortis setting in. You're supposed to always open yourself up for change, to receive. Always supposed to be open for change. Like I said, the people, those of our people who are not willing to do that or not willing to make that change, they become like the Walking Dead. So, take another call. 602.
Yes, Nobin, how you doing, man? I'm not gonna take up all your time, but I was gonna say that with Miss Doc Badge brought up, I was explaining to somebody earlier, and I used your exact words almost, so I know exactly what she was saying. Like, what it is what you said that, like when you're dealing with things like Christianity or Islam or Judaism, it has a point where it started, and it has particular stories that's linked to the patriarchs of these religions. So whenever you're dealing with them, you're always going to have to keep checking that time frame into what you're doing. See? So 1,000,000 years from now, if you're talking about Christianity, you're still going to be going back to 0 AD, talking about what went on then. Like 1,000,000 years from now. Imagine that. So like you said, when it's done, and you're done too.
Yeah.
Because if you keep checking that time frame, and it's already like it's ancient, you know. It's so exactly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to throw that in because, you know, I was saying the same thing you said, you know, almost word for word today when I was talking to somebody. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say though.
And like I said, I thank you for calling in, brother. It's a beautiful thing because, you know, the more people are getting it and whatnot, now we got to work on bringing our people together collectively in the state of mental, because that's where the reception is at. It's not, like I said, bringing our people together to form this new reception, to form this new movement, to come together collectively. Like I said, this is what we need. We have to come together and put aside everything and whatnot and become renewed people. Okay, that's what it's about, becoming renewed people. If we truly want this, we got to start living like this, because, you know, the people who are stuck in the rituals and things like that, the people who are orphaned where they're looking for another way, it's not just enough to stand around and talk and, you know, saying, you know, I'm getting it. We have to set about living a new way. We have to people are looking at us for example. So, you know, I can't say, you know, we shouldn't be doing this, we shouldn't be doing that. I have to be a living example and show a new way, and that's what I'm attempting to do within the state of mental. This is what I've been charged to do. But I thank you for calling in, brother.
Thank you, Newman.
All right. We're going to play a little bit of music. Well, I want to hear Fast Delivery, Blue 6. We'll be right back. We're going to do something that has not been done, right, by anybody. We're going to be building the Almond Mentorium, the first Almond Mentorium in New York City as of next year, 2013. Almond Mentorium number 1, the first state of mental mentorium. Now, I know y'all never heard that word before, mentorium. And, you know, it's a space where the mentor speaks and his monitors. The first Almond Mentorium number 1, right, for the evolution of the bright race, for those who are in reception with God, the true and living God, Amen. When I say Amen, I'm not talking to those of you who first listen. I'm not talking about no Amen from Egyptology, because there is no such thing as an Amen from Egyptology. Amen is a celestial name, right, from the true and living God, the Amen, the continuous one, the eternal one. So we are building to build something. We are going to build something to resurrect the reception of Amen here in New York for the intelligent ones of our people. Right? Amen Mentorium number 1. We want our people to come out collectively and work together to build this collectively. You know, we have to start raising up Amen's name again as the true and living God. We have to start raising Amen's name up. We have to take all the old dead gods' names out of our mouths. Allah, Yahweh, Jehovah, Jesus. We have to drop the dead gods, all the historical gods, the mythological gods, or what I call the myth non-logical gods. We have to drop them. And we have to come in tune with the true and living God, Amen, again, to extend ourselves, to make ourselves opening extensions, to start to see the true God come out of us, because we have not been uttering or speaking the true name of God. When our people, and like I said, though our people will say, oh yeah, you know what, I studied Kemetic science and Egyptology, and when I say Amen, you know, I know the power, I know that's not the same Amen. Because you can be uttering a word or saying a word, but your mindset is in Egypt. You understand? Your mindset is somewhere in Egypt, where we are in modern time, while we are in the modern time moving into the future. But your mind is thinking of Amen in the past. So that Amen in the past, if your mind is in Egypt somewhere, then that means you're not connecting with God, because God has moved on. God has moved on mentally to today. The only people, as I said, that are in tune with God, the people who are God thinking, is your elite, your Illuminati. They are God thinking men. People go, oh brother, that's BS. They devil worshippers. They worship Satan. They Satan and this, that, and that. No, they're not. They're God thinking men. That's how they're able to stand over you while you're in submission to them. They control your life because they have focused on being God-thinking men. They have come in tune with God because you have given up your connection with God. You have accepted their false gods and traded in the knowledge of the true and living God for their false ones. You've disconnected yourself. You became God-fearing people. You're not God-receiving people. You're not God-thinking people. God moves in an evolutionary line. God moves like how fire burns in a straight line. God don't move in circles. God don't move in rituals. God keep it moving. That's real. God keeps it moving. Proof of that is all the prophets, or the so-called prophets that came, they were presenting prophecy, which means future intelligence from God, things of the future, things that were about to happen. So that proves that God is constantly moving into the future. This is real. It's not no abstract, symbolic talk. You understand? God is moving into the future. And those of our people who are not moving into the future with God, you're going to be left behind. You're going to remain God-fearing people. You're going to be left behind. You understand that? When you see the Israelites and these guys on the street, those are God-fearing men. They fear God. Why I say that is because reading about some old accounts of God in some Bible, or talking about or reading about something where you wasn't even near, rather than dealing with God as you are now, as a man right now, that proves you God-fearing. You're not God-thinking. Because God-thinking men would never stand up there with damn robes on and beards all over their face looking dusty. You understand? God-thinking men would take the lead and be good husbands and fathers to their families, raise up businesses, and try to create ways to take care of themselves. Now, the white man's doing it. You're not. But you God, though, right? You God. You understand? Who's more God? Who's God-fearing and who's God-thinking? Who's carrying out the actions of God? You understand that? This is real. God stands up and is a man to his people, to his family. You understand? Leads the way, pioneers, moves into the future. That's what a God-thinking man does. That's what a man who's in tune with God does. You understand? He don't sit around calling himself God, or trying to raise up the image of dead gods, or trying to go in rituals and things like that and pretending to be in tune with God when you're in submission to man. You live your life for this world, the things that are going on in this world, or of the past world. You want things to go back to a time where it was more simpler. This is what the Israelites say. Oh, when things go back to the way they was, this, that, and the third, or the Muslims walk around with robes on and beards all growing on their face, looking prehistoric. You understand? Looking all unkept. And you can tell they're trying to push that image on the black man. Like I said, look at Rick Ross and look at all these guys with the beards. That's the thing now, the black man. That's God-fearing men. See? Those are men who rather tune in to God through other men, through dead men. Anytime you got to tune into God through dead men, through men who you don't even know existed or not, men who you can't look in the eye or at least have some sort of recollection of men who were in your time frame. Anytime you can't tune into men like that, then that proves you're a God-fearing man. You would rather go back and look and try to live through the lives of dead people or people who never existed. I got to go back and look at Jesus Christ to connect with God. And when there was no Jesus Christ, symbolic. I got to go back to Muhammad. He dead 1,400 years. I got to go back and live try to live my life through men who are not here no more. I can't live or connect with God physically today. You understand that? I can't form a mental connection with God because I'm God-fearing. Because if God connect with me mentally, I got to change everything. I can't be the same way no more. I can't do the same things I did no more. I can't disrespect my woman. I can't not take care of my family if I'm calling myself God or I'm saying I'm an extension of God. I can't. You understand? I can't do that no more. You understand? And so the black man, the black woman don't want to change. Black woman, she can't be a whore no more. You understand? She can't get high or sitting up in the club and niggas all in her face. She can't do that no more. And we, like I said, we're going to keep it real. I'm going to use the language, the real language of today. I'm not going to speak in some polyandry sort of way. I'm going to use the language of the day that y'all used to hear. See, because that's effective when you keep it real, as you say, with people. You speak the language of the people. You understand? You have to speak the language of the people to cross them over, to ignite something in them, to inspire something in them. If you're not speaking the language of the people, then you're not going to ignite anything in them. You're not going to inspire anything in them. You understand? You're going to keep them afraid of being gods and goddesses, igniting that in themselves, not just using the word, not saying I'm just God, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. What have you done? Show me your works. You understand? Show me the works. The works have to dictate who you are. You understand? I said putting on emblems and ankhs and all that flashy stuff, that's not God. You understand? Those are people who just putting on shields to hide from God. What I mean by that, people are putting on shields, ankhs, crosses, all these things to hide who they really are. They hide themselves behind those shields. 6-pointed stars, 5-pointed stars, ankhs, stars and crescents. Those are shields. You understand? Those are shields. The only shield that God, that represents the manifestation of God, is the shield of power. The shield of power. When you see the shield of power, whether it's lightning form, like you see in our symbol or in our flag in the state of Mintel, when you see that shield of power, you know exactly what it is. That's the difference between when you see the star and the crescent, when you see the cross, when you see a 6-pointed star. Somebody has to tell you, some man has to tell you what that means. Which means when they tell you what that means, when they have to explain to you or break down what the star and crescent mean, when the cross mean, what the 6-pointed star means, that means you become in submission to his doctrine. See, when we show you the lightning symbol in the state of Mintel in our movement, you already look at it and you know that it represents power. You could already look and tell it represents light. It represents power. That's God. God is light. God is power. His messages come in light and powerful forms. You understand? In zigzag formation. You understand? That's God. That's the true symbol of God, lightning. That's how his messages move. That's how frequency moves. The people who are ready to receive that are God-thinking people. That's how thoughts hit you in a lightning flash. You understand? You have to be the lightning rods of God's intelligence. That's God-thinking people. People who are thinking above and beyond the average woman and man. Supreme people or super men and super women. Super mental beings. That's what we said when we talk about the Supermen, Superwomen Project. It was short for super mental beings. People who are being sped up mentally. God is speeding up our people mentally, the chosen ones of our people. The ones who open their minds to accept it. The ones who are God-thinking and no longer God-fearing. The ones who are not spooked out. The ones who be like, oh, no, brother, I'm good. No, this ain't for you. You don't want it anyway. You in submission to man. You in submission to man. You understand? That's what that is. God-thinking people. God-thinking people. The thoughts of God move like this, in constant building, in constant evolution, in constant focus, in constant reception of power, in constant reception of power, and the constant opening of the mental capabilities. You understand? Opening up the different centers in the brain. That's what the connection with God does. When you start to become God-thinking people, certain centers start to open all up in your brain because that intelligence is hitting you. Different nerve centers, something physically happens where different nerve centers are opening up in your brain. You're thinking faster. You're moving faster. Ideas are coming to you that never came to you before. That's God-thinking people. That's God making connection with people mentally. That's how God is supposed to make a connection with you, not from some spirit or some I got the spirit and all this other nonsense. Not even knowing what a spirit is. God don't come through special rituals. God comes through you or comes to you mentally. If you have raised yourself up mentally to receive God's intelligence, if you have raised yourself to begin God thinking people who are willing to change and evolve and move forward, just as God thinks and moves forward. You understand? This is how that works. If our people are open to receive that, if you are open to the reception of mentellect, those knowledge for those who are mentally elect, that's what we deal with. That's what we open our minds up to in the state of mental. The reception of mentellect, not the religion of man. Religion was supposed to prepare you for reception. If you are moving from God-fearing people to God-thinking people, religion was supposed to prepare you, because at some point you were supposed to be like, I'm tired of this. You were supposed to be at some point, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of being a God-fearing man, one who's in mystery, one who's in spookism. I'm tired of this. I want the truth. I want to change. I want to alter myself. I want God's intelligence. That's what you were supposed to be saying. That's how you start to transform into God-thinking men and God-thinking women. That's how you do that. If you're not doing that, if you're not living for that, then you're living for nothing. You keep on living for your 401ks and your weed and your PlayStation and your 9-to-5 jobs, because all that's fleeting. The day you started your job, there'll be a day when you'll finish that job. You understand? The day you bought that new cap or that Yankee cap or those pair of Jordans or whatever is the same day you're going to throw them out. There's going to be a day you're going to throw them out. All that stuff expires. All of it expires, but what never expires is God's intelligence. That never expires. There is no start date on that, so therefore there is no end date on that. So you therefore have to go, once you start receiving that, you go from a mortal being to an immortal being. You pick up his reception and you start to vibrate on a whole higher or different frequency. This is what we're dealing with in the state of mental. This is what we're dealing with. If our people truly want this intelligence from the true and living God, Amen, then you come in with us. I'm going to take a call. 613. 613, you on the air? 631, I'm sorry. 631-320?
423?
Yeah. 320? Hello?
No, 423.
423? No, I hear 631.
Yeah.
Well, okay. What's your question, brother?
Well, there ain't no question. I was just, listening to what you were saying, man, and that sister, what she said earlier, she said the ones that are vibrating to what you're saying, it's like this a dance, and I felt that today twice, man. I felt that feeling that you get, that that power is with you. It's like when the clouds cleared up and there wasn't nothing but just straight sun. And I also felt it in the crib today. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like my head was about to catch a headache, but I wasn't looking for no aspirin, and then, I just felt like a pressure around my head.
Mm-hmm.
But 423. Normally when something happens like that, other numbers popped up. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, who else is about to talk to him when I just press in? So I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
Thank you, bro. And it happened today, too. Okay.
Thank you, bro. 510. Reginald, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Logan?
What's going on, brother? Hello? Hello? Hello, Reginald?
Yeah, I'm here. You muted me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to mute you. Sorry. Got what you like.
Hey, how you doing, man?
How you doing?
Good to speak with you. Hey, man, just very powerful show, man. Very powerful show. And I'm just excited right now. I want to share this with you. I'm excited right now because I can see the vision of a supreme race being raised, man. I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Man, Man, I'm glad to be a part of it, bro. I'm just excited right now. A lot of things are happening, you know. I even started my own business out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Just started my own business. You know, everything is really working out fine, man. I just can't wait to get down there to see you, bro. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to get down there. But I can just see it, man. I can see it, you know.
Well, like I said, this is going to move our people. If you feel the power in the words and the things that's going through, it's going to move our people to come together collectively. That's going to show who's with me and who's not with me and what we're doing in the evolution of our people and raising the name of Amen back up in the state of Mentel and moving forward. The people that are coming with me, those are the people I'm taking seriously. Like, even if you come out and sit with us, like I said, those people who are coming or want to come from different cities, like I said, you're going to be charged with going back to your cities that you come from and setting up mentoriums too, because we setting up the first Amen mentorium here in New York. It's up to you to go back to your cities and whatnot as we, you know, we going through the training and teaching our people and, you know, and meeting our people and initiating or entering our people into the state of Mentel to go back and start raising that intelligence or raising that reception in your cities. Because the more the reception is raised in the cities you are, because we're not sitting around being afraid no more. We're not sitting around being God-fearing people. We being God-thinking people. So we have to raise the reception of Amen back on the planet again in our people. That's what the mission is.
Yes, sir. Hey, you know, I talked to a few brothers. You know, there's some brothers I used to study with. We used to study Egyptology, Kabbalah, and all that, man. So we got a chance to sit down. I talked to them, you know, and we was just I was just telling them about the aspect of, you know, worshiping dead gods, you know, dead gods that have already been worshipped by another people, you know what I'm saying, and who have passed, you know, just worshiping those dead gods of Egypt. You know, and I was just telling them about ᴛRＳꜰᴏ, and I referred them to your page, so you know, hopefully they'll friend you. But we were just talking about Egypt because they deep into Egyptology, you know. But I mean, what I was telling them, I don't know if they got it, but we talked for a long time, you know, and they were saying about how the original worship of God and all that, you know. Well, that's fine. But God has moved on. God has moved on. You know what I mean?
Ain't about no original worship of God. God don't. That's what I said. Men get locked in the time frames. That's why they talking about the original worship of God. Ain't about no original worship of God. Like you said, and like I've been saying, God done moved on, man. You can sit up here and go back and try to study Egypt if you want to. You can go up there and try to put your hands on walls like the Egyptians did. Try to find out how the Sumerians was talking. It don't matter. God done moved on. Them people are dead, man.
Yeah.
You know, but the black man don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Because he, like I said, he's God-fearing. He don't want direct connection with God. He don't want that. He want to try to live vicariously through other people, dead people at that, or people who never existed.
Yeah.
You know?
We're gonna speak further though. You know, we set up another meeting, so
okay.
I'm just gonna introduce them to your blog talks. You know, because I mean, you can explain it in deeper detail than I can at this point. You know what I mean?
Well, have one of them dates where y'all all sitting around listening to the broadcast and you explain my words and whatnot. If I'm not, you know, if y'all ain't getting together on the night and listening, you explain my words, or you or y'all listen with the brothers and y'all could call in and ask me a question.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah,
because this is what the so-called black man should be doing in this day and time, trying to raise the frequency or his intelligence to receive God's intelligence. He's supposed to be raising his mind to receive that, not sitting around talking about a bunch of nigga nonsense. Because that, like I said, that's all fleeting, man. All that's gonna be gone in a minute. All that stupidity gonna be gone, and the black man, if he keep on continuing and following that madness, he gonna be going right with it.
Yeah, locked into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But hey, Lou, I'm gonna let you go, but Aaron, I'm telling you, bud, the shit is happening. You know, I even shit is just starting to manifest. You know, even though that's not the main focal point, but it does happen once you're tuned in. It does happen. You could think something and it'll come, and now it's quicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you know, it's all good, man. I can't wait to see you. I'm gonna continue to talk to these brothers out there. But I have a feeling I'll be seeing you soon, man. I really do, because 2013 is going to be a great year for us all, man. It really is. All right. Hey, I'm gone, man. I got to get to these kids. I'll talk to you, all right, brother?
All right, brother. Good hearing from you.
All right, peace.
Peace. I'll take one more call. 404. 404, you're on the air?
Okay. Hi, Nuben. My name is Viola. I'm calling from Newark. And I wanted you to clarify when you just said that the Illuminati
hold on. You said hold on. You said you're calling from where?
Newark, New Jersey.
Well, then why? I'm wondering why it's 404 up here. That's a Georgia.
Oh, because I moved from that's Atlanta. I moved and I didn't change my number yet.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. So what was your question?
Yeah. Okay, I wanted you to clarify about the Illuminati. You said that they're a group of thinking men, and they that's why they're in control of the 90% of the population, because they think for us, and they have an influence on society. But they also use a lot of spiritual references and in their rituals and everything. They still use a lot of old symbols and old spiritual symbols to have this power. So I wanted to give some clarity on that, because I know that they're very intellectual, and they also I know that they're very smart in how they do things, but they also use a lot of spiritual rituals to have this influence.
Well, they use the spiritual rituals as have the influence to control you, because spirituality works in a circle. Like I said, the word spiritual means special rituals, the things you do in a rotation. So, yeah, they use spiritual or old symbols, spiritual symbols to control the people, but they don't follow those. You understand? They are on a higher level. They are God-thinking men. They answer to a higher authority. They answer to Amen, the true and living God, which is what we're supposed to be answering to or in transmission with. You are in submission to them. That's who you actually are in submission to when you following these things in the world. You're not in tune with God. You're in tune with them. That's why you're still following spirituality.
Okay, so the Amen, is that inside of us?
Well, yeah, it's in there dormant, but it's not being cut on in our people, because y'all still following spiritual practices. You still following spiritual practices. Y'all still trying to follow Egypt. Amen has nothing to do with Egypt. The Egyptians came in contact. Amen came in contact with the Egyptians, but he was Amen before he got to Egypt. Y'all still following dead practices. Y'all either following Islam, Christianity, Moorish science, 5%, all that other stuff. That's a connected culture, Pan-Africanism, all spirituality, all that's dead. That's all dead rituals. You understand? So they use these things, the elite, they use these things to control you, to keep you in a dead state mentally, and y'all keep going into that.
Okay, so how do you tap into and the real God?
Well, we're doing it within the state of mental. We're doing it. How we're doing it is coming together collectively and trying to boost the frequency of this intelligence within our people. You know, people on the outside, we're not interested in, showing people or doing anything individually. It happens in a collective. So the collective has to come together and raise the intelligence, because the intelligence comes in one form to one people. Everybody else is usually off key or off balance, because it's always one group of people that's going to lead the rest of the world. People say, oh, that's not possible. Why can't it be for everybody? I say it's not for everybody, because everybody's not going to be disciplined enough to receive the intelligence of God. A lot of our people. That's why only 10 people on the planet run the whole thing, because and people under them that take orders from them. But that's how that works. It's only going to be for those people who are disciplined, who are of the elect. That's why it says in the book of Revelation, 144,000 people. Now you imagine that out of the millions and billions of people on the planet. It takes discipline. It takes discipline and the willingness to leave behind all the old things and come into something new, and come into the new intelligence of God. Our people ain't willing to do that. Majority of the people not willing to do it.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you for calling in. All right. We got 11 minutes to go. Let me go ahead and answer these questions. All right. I got a little bit away from myself, but it's all good. Took a lot of questions, and I'm glad we had a good call in. Let me see. People, they want to hear, me talk about, and people, I know what people usually looking for when they call. I'm not saying the sisters that just call them. I'm saying the people, they usually looking for some ritual that I could tell people to do, or some chanting or something else, or some chanting or breathing fast. No, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that's going to connect you with God, because it's not. That goes right back into rituals again. I'm not going to give you rituals because rituals are not going to connect you to the intelligence of God, and it's not going to change you from a God-fearing person to a God-thinking person. To change or be able to go into a God-thinking person, you have to connect with God-thinking people as well, and be willing to clean out the old ways of thinking and start brand new, clean slate, blank slate. You have to be willing to do that and come together collectively with people who are on that level, brand new, starting and receive. That's how that happens. It's not going to be something where you can sit as an individual and rock back and forth and chant, because that, again, goes right back into the spirituality nonsense, back into the rituals and the circle of nonsense. So let me read these things. How do you transform God-fearing people into God-thinking ones? Well, that process, as I said, is getting or cutting yourself off from all of these things of the old world, cutting yourself away from the old gods of the old world, the Jesuses, the Allahs, the Jehovahs, the Yahweh-Shahs, and all those old dead gods, cleaning out the closet and coming in tune with the true and living God, the Omni being the Amen. You understand? Now, people say Amen, as you talking about, that's an Egyptian God. That's an old God. No, it's not an Egyptian God. Amen is not an Egyptian God. Amen is just that, a continuous or eternal man who came through Egypt, because you can find Amen's name before Egypt, so it didn't come from Egypt. Amen is a timeless and continual name, or celestial name, continuous. You understand? It didn't have, Amen's name has no beginning or no ending, because the word Amen means eternal or eternal man. Who, and they say, and they one of the other definitions is hidden. God, they say Amen is hidden because that's what man did. He hid the name of the true name of God from people and gave you false gods to follow. Your Jesus, Allah, and Jehovah, and Yahweh, and whatever, Yahshua, and whatever. So, why is it necessary in this day and time to become God-thinking people? So that we can stop being fooled, for one, so that people can stop pulling the wool over our eyes and trying to promote rituals and spirituality to us and all kinds of lies and religious nonsense, and we could tune ourselves in so we can move on, because we have to stop running in circles, because that's all we've been doing in these rituals, running in circles to nowhere. It's not getting our people anywhere. That's why you can go in the hood and see 3 and 4 churches on every corner and whatnot, because these are just a bunch of people who are running in circles like a cat chasing his tail, going nowhere. We have to start moving in straight lines. God is an evolutionary being. He moves in a straight line forward, not in circles and rituals like you people are doing. That's something that man created for you to do. So, why did religious people want to create God-fearing people? To keep control. To keep control of people in the submental state. You keep control of the people in the submental state by making them afraid of God. While you are fearing God, while you are fearing the connection with God and changing yourself, these people and attaching yourself to their made-up gods, they're attaching to the true and living God. They're attaching themselves in dark places and secret places to the true and living God. Amen. They're doing rituals, or they're doing their special rituals, or whatever they do, their little practices. And it's not really even that. They just do that to control the rituals. They do to control the lower masses of people. But how they continue is by moving forward, by doing things without bounds, setting up laws, government, societies, and things with no bounds. No one to answer to but God. Right? So that's God-thinking people with no boundaries. Continuous people. Right? What is God? What is a God-thinking person? God-thinking person is a person who moves forward, right, collectively, with other God-thinking people, people who are not doing rituals anymore, people who have let go of the old spirituals and the old rituals and the old religious ways and spirituality, all of the people who have left those behind. The God-thinking man is the man that understands that God has moved on and that God sends messages to woman and man mentally to advance them, to understand what your purpose is on the planet. Now, this is not just me saying this. So you get people that will say this, and our people are good at paying lip service. It's supposed to make our people take charge of coming together collectively in this mental state, what we setting up within the state of mental for our people to come together. Come together amongst your people. Join the state of mental. The SOM.info. Come together. Come to us in New York City. Come down to these meetings and whatnot, because we're trying to raise the intelligence of Amen here in our people. That's our mission, because we understand and we have an ultra-standing that Amen is a evolutionary man. You understand? A man who is constantly moving in the future, not some spook, not some spirit, but the extension, the higher extension of ourselves, and we're trying to constantly move in that troop of gods behind Amen. We're moving in a troop, a group of beings, collectively. That's what we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be that A company or B company or C company moving and bringing up the evolution in our people in this physical form. That's what we're here for, as gods on earth, as the physical manifestations of God, not the creations, but the physical manifestations. The creations are the human race. We are the Amen race. We're a whole different other species, but we're not acting like it. We're not being it. What will happen once you become a God-thinking person? You'll start to alter things in your life. You'll start to change things in your life. You'll start to see capabilities reveal themselves and capabilities come into your life that you were not privy to at one time. That's what happens when you start connecting with that God mind of becoming that God-thinking being. You're no longer doing what it is that everybody else was doing. You understand? This is the reality of becoming that God-thinking person. Okay? So that's it. That is it. Thank you for tuning into the broadcast. This is for the evolution of our people. January 27th. Those of you in the New York City area, we're going to be having the Bright Water, Alkaline Water Initiative, giving away 1 gallon of water to any person that signs up for a 4-bottle deal at $3 a bottle, or glass gallon bottles of alkaline water. So we're going to be doing that pretty soon. We're going to keep you posted. Join us Monday. It'll be another hot topic. Putting God first, putting God first, putting God first ahead of everything. The true and living God, Amen. Not the false gods, but the true and living God, Amen. First and foremost. All right? So this is our mission, to bring God back in tune intelligently with our people, logically with our people. So with that, okay, we got a quick. I'm going to take this quick 347 question, even though we're not supposed to take them more calls. Come on, you got to be quick with your question.
Yeah. I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on what do you.
You gotta be quick, brother, because you call at the end of the show.
All right, what do you think about us being in a black hole?
Okay, I'll answer that off the air because I can't stay here. The black hole that we are in is the hole that we put ourselves in. That's the black hole we in, the hole of ignorance, disconnected from God. Okay. All right. All right, so what do I want to play to close us out? I like to close out with music. Y'all got a call earlier in the broadcast. Don't call toward the end. I just did that to take a quick question. Next time, brother, call back, and I'll give you a question more thought, okay? I am the intellectual Nuben Minkare. This has been State of Mentel Radio. Good night.
It's the Republic of Mental, rising out the black race to the white race, out the black race to the white race. It's the Republic of Mental, black race to the white race. If it's hell, then it's hell us. They tried everything just to spell us. fed us religion, gave us fake gods. Through all of that, we beat the odds. Now we coming together under one flag. Colors red, gold, and